Hey everyone, I'm Mikna, you know me by now, the community lead at Oasis, and I'm super thrilled to welcome you to our latest episode of Meet the Oasis Team series. I'm saying thrilled because this is a very special episode for me because I get to interview two people that I admire very much. But today is not just getting to know our exceptional team members, it's also a celebration. And this is regarding the recent network upgrade. We're also here to dive into our network upgrade and gain insights from the minds shaping the future of privacy in Web3. I'd like to welcome our community and to thank everyone for attending this. This is your chance to learn directly from the experts. So let's get started with a warm welcome and introduction to our fantastic guests. Joining us today are two brilliant minds, JernejKos, Director at Oasis, and Tadej, Director of Engineering at Oasis. So let's begin with Jernej. Jernej, could you please introduce yourself and share a bit more about the role you occupy at Oasis?
Of course. Thank you, Minya, and thank you to everyone who is joining us today. As Minya already introduced me, I'm Jernej. I'm the director at the Oasis Protocol Foundation, but what he didn't say is that I'm also the technical lead for the Oasis Core platform, which is for me the most important thing because I'm coming from the engineering background and I'm basically making sure that things don't break at Oasis. That should be my subtitle.
Today, I'll move the spotlight onto you. Could you tell us a bit more about yourself and, of course, your role at Oasis?
Yeah, very happy to be here in this Meet the Oasis Team series. I'm Director of Engineering here at Oasis. I oversee three teams, or oh no, it's four teams now. So we have like a core platform team, making sure the engine that powers the Oasis node and the runtimes is bulletproof, is future proof. And then we have the Explorer Wallets team, which I think we can talk about in the future, because we have, I think, some really exciting things coming up for Explorer and Wallet. And the third team is, of course, the Sapphire and OPL, Oasis Privacy Layer team. And the fourth one would be our DevOps team, perhaps a bit more internal focused, but still very happy to be the lead of all these teams.
I don't know how to do it. Honestly, I often wonder how how it's possible with only 24 hours in a day to work so much and handle so much here at the Oasis. But yeah, one thing I would love to know more is your engineering backgrounds before joining Oasis and your name. I wanted to know. I know you've been involved with Professor Donsong before Oasis. So, think you can maybe elaborate more on that journey?
Sure. So actually, in the beginning, there were a few different things actually. So at one point, I was working a lot on various more, so to say, like systems programming things. This is like developing software for routing protocols and management of wireless mesh networks, which is also something that was my early passion. Also developing like firmware for embedded devices. And actually, I did my PhD in the area of cyber-resistant decentralized routing protocols, which were based on social graphs. So this is something where this decentralization and also this was the time when I first heard about blockchain. So that was a long time ago. And yeah, together with Tadej, actually, I was also working on some bioinformatics software, which was based around supporting something like a data flow computation engine for bioinformatics pipelines. And actually, data flow was one of the reasons how I got to know Don initially. So we were working together on a quite a different thing. So it was a data flow based sort of like no-code web authoring platform, so a way for non-programmers to quickly build web applications. And this initial collaboration then also resulted in me working on things like deep learning models and looking into other serial examples and data extraction in various AI models as well. So those were the early days, way before ChatGPT and similar things. And finally, there was then our joint work on using SGX, first for like differential privacy pipelines, and then, of course, the early Academ platform, which served as a starting point for Oasis in a way. So that would be, and from then on, it was mostly about Oasis, and yeah, it's been a long journey behind us, and we have more in the future. So yeah, definitely an exciting path.
Yeah, yeah, you can say that. And I'm sure that everyone who read our white paper has at least heard about the Academ platform and SGX. And yeah, today this is basically the same question that I want to ask you. Your early engineering and what motivated you to join Oasis, and of course your journey so far.
Yeah. So like I don't know, like if I go like to my childhood, I'll say like my father was a computer scientist, so I was always sort of fascinated by computers. Like I recall like we didn't have a computer like when I was a kid, and then like when we got the first computer, it was like floppy disks, and we would like share the games with friends and stuff. And then I think like programming came a bit later with I think a big book on I think it was like Visual Basic, so like a real let's say yeah, a toy language. So like you had basically like a rapid application development environment. It was sort of a GUI, and you could attach like small functions to different buttons, and like they would do stuff. And yeah, it would basically be like really rudimentary, but that was my first, like programming. I think it was sort of like uh, even before high school, and then. Um, yeah, I was always fascinated by computers and also mathematics. So when I went to the university, I picked a study that's like both mathematics and computer science. And basically, in those years, you realize that it's very like interconnected, because like if you want to understand the algorithms behind and data structures, it's sort of very related to mathematics as well. So I think I ended up being fascinated by cryptography and AI mostly. And the interesting was that basically I was given a position as a PhD researcher in an AI lab. So I did like a 5 year, uh, not detour, but like a 5 year deep dive into machine learning and AI. Yeah, I did my PhD then in multitask learning, a subfield of machine learning. Um, but yeah, it was funny because then I was sort of like drawn back to my other passion, which is like uh, Linux, open source, uh, all things cloud, and like deploying hundreds of servers at once. So like I also joined like this bioinformatics startup, uh, took care of DevOps side and all the infra. There also met Jernej there, so that was a nice thing, side effect. Um, and then I think basically I recall my first encounter with crypto. I think it was basically like a Linux format magazine article, "What on earth is Bitcoin?" And I think I read it, and I just sort of thought, "Oh yeah, a nice curiosity, never will work." Something like that. So, and I don't know what year it was, but I recall that basically then in I think it was 2017, when I think like a bull run was emerging, that sort of like my interest for these things sparked a bit. Um, and it was then that I first sort of like signed up for my first crypto exchange, bought some coins. I don't know if I even like knew how to put them from custodial to my self custody wallet. So yeah, it was really the beginnings in 2017. And I think like I don't know. I think many things then sort of like fell in the right place, because I think like I was searching for like my next thing in my professional career. Uh, Oasis was, I think, just emerging in 2018. Yeah, I knew your name. Like, I know, I knew he was at Oasis. So this is how I got interested and how I got into Oasis.
Wow, that's quite a journey. And I think 2017 was a pivotal point for crypto adoption all over. Like I remember, I used to mine Ethereum back in 2017. So all I knew was mining pools and how to set up rigs. That was it.
Yeah.
Um, but I know both of you are building amazing things at Oasis. Could you maybe share more about what we're currently building at Oasis? Uh, However, you
Sure,
want.
I can start with that. So definitely a lot of exciting things, so to say. So earlier this year we launched Sapphire. So this is the first confidential EVM platform that can support flexible privacy in a way that is developer and user friendly. So without any requirement of needing to learn advanced cryptography. This is um, sort of the goal. So our current focus is to make Sapphire and their surrounding ecosystem more prominent, and to build the ecosystem and showcase good use cases for the platform that can also serve as examples and starting points upon which developers can then build cool dApps. Also, based on feedback from early developers, we are like constantly trying to see what are any pitfalls, what can be improved in the runtime to reduce friction and to facilitate compatibility with things like there's different kinds of common cryptographic primitives that are used more in traditional Web 2 applications. And this is something that we are bringing also to Sapphire to make it easy to integrate. Also, things like zero-knowledge proof verification support that we've added recently, and basically making the lives of developers easier, because the goal is to enable them to build actually very useful things. And on that, we also want to bring value to existing ecosystems. So it's not like that Sapphire is a closed ecosystem that is only there to serve us, but we want to also bring value to others like Ethereum through our products. One of them is the OPL, which is the Oasis privacy layer, and it allows existing dApps to leverage Sapphire's confidentiality features without the need to move from their existing networks. And obviously, we are constantly looking to further improve the developer and user experience, and we're also exploring things like Ethereum light clients and off-chain compute committees, like in order to reduce latency and further increase decentralization, which is definitely the core reason why we're even doing Web3. And of course, I shouldn't forget like the most immediate thing that also Minia mentioned in the beginning, and that is the upcoming mainnet upgrade, which contains a lot of changes and is currently being tested on the testnet. We are currently expecting that we'll be moving to the next phase in the next week, basically posting a governance proposal on chain for the mainnet upgrade to then proceed probably towards the end of the month, if everything goes well. So this is maybe like a short summary. Maybe I missed something today. Maybe you can also chime in a bit.
Yeah, happy to. In terms of Sapphire and OPL, I think what we really want to do is build, we call them demo dApps, but in reality, they are like this showcases of this amazing thing we have, confidential EVM, and basically help people understand in practical terms. So like they'll have like a nice UI, and then they'll show a concrete example of how you can leverage this unique confidential features of Sapphire. So, for example, we already showed confidential voting, and we'll make sure it's like really consumable, so like people can, like end users can check it out, and also app developers can fork the code on GitHub, and the code is really like well structured, easy to understand, easy to basically taken as a piece of your bigger project. And it's not only confidential voting. I think we already demoed that. I think just next week at Dev Connect, we'll give a nice demo tab of account abstraction. I know this is a very hot subject currently, and Sapphire is really like the most natural fit for it, because for Imagine, you can actually store your private key inside a Sapphire smart contract, and you can use like your regular authentication mechanism. Imagine like your phone's Touch ID, or like your existing YubiKey, or some other like Google authentication, Apple authentication, whatever you already have, and basically like that unlocks the private key in the smart contract. And with that private key, you can then, of course, unlock other on-chain assets. I think this is a big one. And we have like others also in the pipeline, for example, Key Manager as a Service, that demo, and so on. But it's not only like this dev demos. We actually want to offer like a whole package. So really have a good developer and user experience. And two things are, of course, very natural in that package. So one is the Explorer. I think somewhere along the journey of building all this core platform stuff, we realized that if we really want to showcase Oasis, people will see it through the lens of the Explorer. So we decided to invest and just build our own Explorer. First, of course, for Sapphire and EVM parts. That's already launched, and we are also actively working on adding the consensus part. So that will mean our Explorer will basically be like offering the full Oasis consensus and paradigm layer support. And this is just the beginning. Like with the Explorer, we also want to add features for developers, so it's easy to verify the source code, and then it's very clearly shown in the UI that this smart contract was actually verified. You can see the source. Any user can see the source, because remember, like the state of the contracts on Sapphire is confidential. Hence, it's really important for everyone to have access to the source code, so like they can either on their own, or like they can ask somebody they trust to audit this code, and like this link between the compiled bytecode and the source code is verified. So that's very important for our users. And because some things are confidential, it's also important that our Explorer enables users to see like what's encrypted, what not. And I think in the future, we'll also be able to allow users to, if they want, to see the things they did. So if the transactions they submitted were encrypted and they chose to store the ephemeral keys to decrypt them, they could then see like their history or what they did. So that's, I think, like an important thing, that like it's not only Ethereum, it's Ethereum with added confidentiality, and hence some things are unique to our Explorer. And the other, of course, thing, also very important for users, is the wallets. And we are working on unifying the code base so that the browser extension for Chrome, as well as the web wallet, will use the same code base and have the same feature set. And we are also actively working on adding support for mobile wallet. You can already use the web wallet on your mobile browser, but I think it will just be more seamless if you're able to install the wallet as an app in Apple's App Store or Google's Play Store. So expect that very soon. And yeah, this mobile wallet will as well share the same code base. But we are not stopping with that. So, for example, with wallets, we want to recognize that the Ethereum system has MetaMask as like the default wallet. And with the recent release of MetaMask Snaps, so like sort of plugins for MetaMask, we will also invest in building our own, so that like when you interact with the dApp that's on Sapphire, you are able to, for example, if the dApp wants to submit an encrypted transaction, currently MetaMask is not able to show you what you're signing. Basically, what you need to do now is basically like sign like a blob. But with this MetaMask Snap, users will be able to actually see and decrypt the transaction and then sign it and so on. So really excited about all these developments that are in progress.
Yeah, we do a lot on our plate, and I don't want to sound biased, but I think we have the best explorer in all of Web3 at the moment. So if you haven't checked it out, you should definitely check it out. And I know the number of features we're gonna add to it, and it's gonna be awesome. Even more awesome than it is at the moment. But speaking of building, I realized that building in Web3 must come with its fair share of challenges. So my question would be, what are some of the technical challenges behind the scenes, and how do you tackle them most importantly?
Yeah, I would say that one of the main challenges, actually, especially with blockchain, is making sure that the systems are robust and secure when they're released in production. Because the problem is, right, that with blockchain, you cannot easily revert things. So if something goes wrong, well, it might be too late. And this is even more so when dealing with something that's confidential, like our confidential runtimes, because there, well, if something goes wrong, you can be locked out of your confidential system and you cannot actually recover. Not even a hard fork can help you if something is really broken. So those would be like the main challenges that I always think about. And I think the main mitigation for these risks is actually, well, I would say it's two things. One is security mindedness of the engineering team, to always keep in mind that how these things will work together. Like in a complex system, there's a lot of moving components. And like thinking of possible situations in advance, and then also like multiple layers of tests of different kinds, so that we catch issues early enough, so that they don't become issues in production. And these two things, I think, are very important, and we're like constantly making sure that these are and remain part of our engineering culture. And I think this is, yeah, the best mitigation for the risks. But yeah, definitely it's much harder than in so to say, like in Web 2 systems where you can just, oh, sure, we'll just revert to some old version or like, yeah, change the production system. So yeah, those would be like top of my mind all the time, worrying that something breaks irrecoverably.
Yeah, exactly. And like just I think like we can say that yeah, it's different if you are like a company and like you deploy your product on your cloud servers which you control, and here like we make a release and basically like we need to ask 120 validators to use the new binary, and basically yeah, it's totally distributed, and hence um, yeah, some things are longer or like some things take more time like that, like the network upgrade, but at the same time I'm a believer in decentralization, and I think it only makes sense if we want to have like a trustless system that it's run in such a way.
Uh, yeah, but okay, I wanted to ask a question, and I know marketing and community, we always put out thought pieces and like regarding Oasis in Web3, but I wanted your opinion about what excites you most about the role Oasis plays in the future of Web3.
Well, for me, the most exciting thing is actually the foundational Oasis technology, actually unlocking cool use cases in Web3 that were not possible without confidentiality, without our technology. As Tadej hinted before, like smart contracts that control secrets and have access to secure randomness makes it possible to enable very cool things like that I mentioned, like seamless account abstraction is one, various gaming experiences, and also like this integration with existing Web 2 technologies and other off-chain systems. Things like, I don't know, large data stores and private AI models. Like you can see that with confidentiality, you can now like connect all these things that are partially off-chain to like on-chain smart contracts, and you can enable new use cases. And obviously, one thing that shouldn't be overlooked is also always like enabling better and easier and faster interoperability within Web3. Like we have all these bridges and light clients and all these different ways of validating each other's chains. But I think our technology also has something that can make this cheaper and easier and faster and more decentralized. And yeah, I think all of those things are what excites me and what I think about with like Oasis's role in the future.
If I might chime in, so like perhaps we, in terms of marketing and community, we are not actually being proud enough or like making a big fuss about that we are currently the only production ready confidential EVM. This is our Sapphire. And I mean, imagine like we've been in this building mode from 2018, like doing this core architecture. I think we were actually the first to have a separate consensus and execute or compute layer. We did that launch mainnet in 2020. Then decided, oh, let's showcase this architecture and do this compute environment. And the first one we chose was, of course, like let's make it an EVM, and we made Emerald the EVM and launched it. I think it was late 2021. That took off nicely. I think we had some enormous amount of transactions and accounts and stuff like that. People were really excited. Of course, some people took advantage of like this sort of very nascent environment, like some things like gas limits, out of gas things were not completely polished when we launched, so some arbitrage bots took advantage of that and things like that. But so slowly that, or like not slowly, actually quite fast, that matured. And then we said, what's next? And we did a short detour, perhaps in the WASM space. So like we did we actually still have, like, as an R&D, like we have a paradigm that lets you code in Rust. So like basically you can use like a full-blown programming language, like it's full libraries, and it will compile to WASM, and then that WASM will be interpreted inside the enclave, and you can have like non-private or like public and private smart contracts. I think even some state can be public, some state is private in Cypher. But then like we realized, hey, it's like perhaps that just like too novel, and people are actually not, I mean, it will be overwhelming for people, and perhaps it's even easier if we just do EVM, try to be as compatible as possible, but just like add this confidentiality which we can provide, because SGX is currently the only production ready TE solution. So we said, okay, let's do it. We launched Sapphire, and I cannot stress enough, like really, like it's there, it's ready. It will be even smoother with the mainnet upgrade, because it will bring things like we'll talk about it in the later questions, but like the seamless upgrades of the paradigms and things like that. So really exciting stuff. But to me, like Oasis, like place in Web3's future is basically really being this building block for all things that need confidentiality and privacy, and people just like immediately use our thing. It's plug and play. It has a good developer experience, no friction. Things just work out of the box, and we don't need people to trust us. They just need to like verify the source code, and then they can verify and trust the source.
We actually had like a call a couple of weeks ago with Alex, the founder of Pixudi, and he was excited about the same thing, that we're the only production ready chain at the moment. So developers are very excited about what we're offering. And regarding developers and engineering, I would have liked your opinion on how do you think the Oasis engineering teams stand out from other Web3 engineering teams?
Yeah, if I chime in, so I think we really have like a very talented team. I think like um, many, I don't even count. So like many of the team members like have PhDs in various fields, like from AI to distributed systems to networking to, I think, core algorithms and data structures. So like really a lot of expertise in the relevant domains for the things we're building here at Oasis. But why I don't know like how many people have like PhDs is because people are not bragging about it. They are just like, I think, very modest, and basically like feel that we are all like part of the same sort of like engineering family almost. So it's a very like collegial culture where like team members help each other, and we would constantly also like have like this sessions where like we would explain like the things we've been building. We call it like engineering and product demos. So like we would first try to like showcase the business use case or like a proper demo, but then we wouldn't be shy into getting into the details of things, how they're implemented, what were the challenges, how things are performing, why some things are, like secure or not secure. We would like in terms of making sure things are secure, we would do like these ADRs, architectural decision records, similar to like how Ethereum has like Ethereum improvement proposals, or like Bitcoin has them. So for bigger things, we would do that. We would discuss things like yeah, and it's really exciting to like see a culture of like people trying to convince others with the arguments, and then also accepting if somebody else has a counter argument, not being, you know, very attached emotionally to things, but really trying to think of the big picture and how to make things robust, secure, future proof, and so on.
I know a lot of there are a lot of engineers who are not familiar with Web3, and I know there are a lot of people who would like to dive into Web3. For those people, do you have any advice that you could offer?
I would just say be curious. So one nice thing about Web3, I think, is that there are a lot of cool technical challenges that still need to be addressed, and they are just waiting there for new ideas and new approaches. It's also not about, you know, like programming languages or frameworks, but it's rather about having this security and problem-solving mindset. And I think that is true in general for engineering. And yeah, keeping an open mind and just being curious and exploring things, that has been the guiding principle, at least for me, and hopefully for others, this would be useful as well. Web3 or not Web3, like in either case, yeah, I think this is the right way.
I myself have managed to convince 2 of my friends to start developing in Web3, so I'm happy with that. And I want to start myself, like a small developer career in Web3, one step at a
Yeah, you
time.
should. I mean, starting with a side project, I think that's a good, like a good start. Something that you care about, right? Because caring is important, and then basically building it from the ground up. And this is how I think we all started. Like I was probably one of the first things was like making a game, you know, because it was fun to play games. And but I was thinking like how I should make my own, even if it was like a simple one.
Yeah, exactly.
That
And like
was.
you have like all these opportunities because like in Web3, for example, I think many projects actually have hackathons, or they have these academies. We have one. We started one as well. So like you have all these resources, basically just like you deciding on like, oh, I want to do it. And I think the best way is just like hands-on, like get your hands dirty, like start playing with things first, like just check out the apps and like use them, and then try to build like a simple one on your own. And I think that's the best way to get started. And there will be like road bumps, of course, as always. Like you'll stuck at some error, and then like you'll check out the docs, the FAQ. You'll go to the Discord or some other like channel where there's like people that are perhaps more advanced than you, or like people from the project itself. And usually they will be friendly, and just don't be afraid. Like, yeah, just get out there.
Exactly what I wanted to say. I think the spirit of friendship in Web3 is much more pronounced than in traditional systems. Like everybody's new here. We all just want to learn together. Of course, people are willing to join in and help you and maybe try to build things together. So, but of course, here at Oasis, we're trying to offer all the resources possible. And yeah, today, thank you for mentioning the academy. We'll be launching a new course next week. So we're super eager to help out both community members and developers in exploring Web3 and exploring Oasis. And that kind of brings me to my next questions, because I know mainstream online privacy kind of presents significant challenges. What do you think is the biggest challenge in achieving this?
Yeah, in my mind, the biggest challenge is making privacy very user and developer friendly, enough so that people don't need to actually think twice before using it. So if you see, like, for example, with HTTPS, right? Nobody needs to think about, oh, do we need to use this encryption protocol, right? And so on. Like, no, it's just there, it works. And I think if we achieve that, then this will be a big step towards mainstream privacy adoption. And the other thing is also, it's important to realize that like privacy is not black and white. So there needs to be, like, it's a spectrum. There needs to be some flexibility for all of the different use cases. And I think that Web3 in general, and in particular Oasis, are well positioned to overcome some of these challenges and bring like usable privacy to mainstream.
One thing I thought of now is basically like a challenge in bringing like privacy things. I guess like in my mind also starts with developers. So like developers have like experience in like building applications. Like Web3 developers have experience in building distributed applications, or called apps. And what's novel for them is actually having a mental model of adding privacy or confidentiality to their project, or like to their dApp, and understanding how it fits in. As Jernej said, it's not black and white. It's basically like something you can still expose to the public via, for example, in EVM, via an EVM event. So, for example, if your dApp has confidential state, you could still emit some logs on, for example, the aggregate sum of the tokens that perhaps might be held in a smart contract state, or things like that. So I think creating like this mental model and helping web developers understand how to structure their project so that it takes advantage of these privacy confidentiality features is a big challenge, and we recognize it, and we are working on just like educating, but more than educating, just like being there for like these dev developers, assisting them. One thing would be like these dev demos, where we'll make sure we also explain why some things need extra care, or like where there might be some side channels, or basically how to avoid, or like what are the common pitfalls when you think you have a confidential or private tab, but in fact it's not private, right? Or some things are not private. And then I think like if we empower these developers, it will result in better privacy or confidentiality preserving dApps being out there. And then I think like users will profit, and I think it will move closer to the mainstream. So yeah, this is what I wanted to stress.
Well, thank you both for your input. Like, but I would really like to move on to the network upgrade topic, and I know this is very important. And we did have a blog piece out, but of course we have a lot of details to go over. So I would start off with the main benefits of our new network upgrade, and the reasoning why we decided to launch this.
Yeah, I can just quickly summarize maybe. Like, basically, there are several improvements to the way the consensus layer and the runtimes work. The reason why we need to do this is as we need to constantly like improve the platform. For example, one part of the upgrade is all about improving security and adding additional mitigations for potential compromise. So there has been a lot of work, for example, on the key rotation mechanism, so that we make it possible for both ephemeral and state keys to periodically rotate to mitigate potential threats. And this is like a huge chunk of the key manager protocol and so on that is needed, and it's some parts are consensus breaking, so it needs an actual network upgrade. And that needs to go through governance. Then there's smaller things like improvements to the peer-to-peer stack, having like quality of life improvements for node operators, like having this automatic peer discovery for state sync, so it's easier to bootstrap new nodes. And then there's things that's more relevant for dApp developers. There is actually a feature that starts in the consensus layer. It's called like same block execution, which means that the state root of executing all of the transactions in a block is basically stored in the block itself. Why this is useful and relevant for dApp developers is because runtimes that are running in these need to verify. So they actually run a light client and they use Merkle proofs to verify that the state that the node is claiming is there has actually been finalized by consensus. So this is a very important security assumption that like the TE needs to verify all the interactions with the outside world. And having that same block execution means that there's no delay with when these blocks are finalized. So the queries can immediately, like you can immediately query the node, and the node can the runtime can verify that exact height. So there's no, like previously there was this one block delay before you could actually do queries safely, but now the delay is no longer needed after the upgrade. So that reduces latency. The other thing is seamless upgrades of paratimes, specifically confidential ones. Previously, there was some downtime associated with like a paratime upgrade, like Sapphire, due to the way the remote attestations work. But now this has been changed so that the nodes will automatically prepare in advance, and then the upgrade is really seamless, like without any downtime or issues. And I guess last but not least, there have been improvements to governance. Previously, only the validator entities were able to participate in governance proposals, but now actually also delegators will be able to participate in addition to the validators. So this is important for like decentralizing decision making on the network. Again, as Tadej mentioned, like this is something that is the core of any Web3 decentralized project, like having actually decentralized governance. Sure, it makes things harder because you need wide consensus for things like upgrades, but this you cannot go around that if you want an actually decentralized system. Then the other slightly more minor thing related to governance is also a different kind of governance proposal that enables to only change certain parameters instead of like only voting on full bigger upgrades. Again, this is something that improves the way the network is governed because it doesn't require any code changes to propose changes to the consensus layer operation. I think those are the main things. Like there's also a lot of lower level details, also like related to security of these and so on, that have been improved behind the scenes. Something that so that the dApp developers and users don't need to think too much about the underlying cryptography.
Yeah, just like so, you know, it's like been in development for I think like a year and a half. So like after the mask upgrade, like the Oasis Core Master Branch, if you're following like the Oasis monthly engineering blog updates, you'll be familiar. If not, check them out; they're really great. So a lot of like change lines, like implemented features, PRs, like amazing work, really.
One question from my side, like, how will the regular delegators be able to participate in governance proposals? Because we all know how the node validators do.
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically, they'll be able to vote through using their wallets. So voting is already just a regular consensus layer transaction that needs to be signed by a wallet. So currently, I think it's only our CLI that supports this. But in the future, also the more UI wallets will support it as well.
Nice. This is exciting.
And eventually, this can also be exposed to dApps, like for example in Sapphire, to make it possible to have dApps that vote.
Okay. Do these upgrades benefit, like how do they benefit developers directly? Developers that build on Sapphire.
I would say like the most obvious thing is the reduction in latency, for example, for the queries. Also some quality of life improvements with regards to how the runtimes work, like how the block proposers are, like the scheduling, how that works. Again, improving robustness and reducing latency, hopefully. Those would be, I think, the most visible things. The other one important feature actually that maybe it's well, it's not a fully fledged feature, but it's a part of it, is basically the consensus layer now allows paradigms to trustlessly verify the state roots of each other, and this actually is a building block to enable a cross-paradigm communication without any trusted intermediaries. So this is something that is enabled by this upgrade, and it also needs a minor change to the SDK and like exposing this through an EVM precompile. But that's the easy thing. So that will happen in a future Sapphire release, and then you could have dApps that communicate between each other across different paradigms seamlessly without going through the consensus layer, which is useful for like splitting the work into different paradigms or having like specialized paradigms for different things. Yeah, or migrating things from Emerald to Sapphire. I know that some people have been asking for something like that.
A lot of people have been asking for that. Okay, I know we're gonna make an announcement as well about this, but since I have you both here, let's just make it public. Like, what will be the name of the next upgrade, and how was it chosen? First of all.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So it will be called the Eden upgrade. So Oasis Eden upgrade. We sort of like knew it's gonna be awards starting with letter E, because like this has been the pattern from Cobalt and Damask. Now it's time for E. And just like to give you a bit more background into how we are choosing these names, we started with rose flowers and their colors, and for the, I guess like for the alpha network, we chose the amber name, so that was sort of A, and then like B was nothing special because like we just had the mainnet beta, which was like a short prequel to the actual mainnet launch. But then like starting from C, we wanted to have like a pattern on how we are naming the upgrades, and we felt like sort of like rose symbolizing, if you recall, the Latin sub rosa actually means like that's something in secret, right? So like this rose, I think, is a great symbol of this, let's say, secrecy or confidentiality that Oasis provides. And the cobalt, that's not that metal, but it's like a beautiful blue rose flower. And also damask. People might think of the city, but actually there's like a gorgeous damask rose that's like sort of like a rose that grows in deserty areas, like in the Damascus city. And we wanted to continue with that, and like we chose Eden because if you recall from the Bible, the Garden of Eden, and like that was all blooming, a really like rich and warm and welcoming environment. And I think like this is what Oasis is, and basically it's like we also have like Oasis Garden, right, as a community place. So I think it all fits, right? So that's why we chose the name Eden.
Yeah, I'm super excited about this, and I really love the name. Like when I first heard it, my mind just went to tranquility and a welcoming place, and yeah, that's what Eden symbolizes. Um, I know we depend on things not breaking down, of course, but do we have a timeline for the mainnet upgrade?
Yes, we do. We do. So basically, everything started way back in October. We did the same upgrade on testnet, and we've been making sure that everything works well. This is what I was talking about before when I said that we need layers of tests to make sure that everything works. There were some minor issues that we've since corrected. Nothing major was identified. So I think we're good to proceed to the next phase, which is basically an on-chain governance proposal, which should happen early next week. And that is then a call to action for all the validator entities to please vote on the proposal. And after the proposal is posted, that will also define the epoch at which the upgrade will happen. Due to the governance constraints, this will likely be towards the end of the month. And yeah, like the approximate time will be known as soon as we put out the proposal for voting, the epoch number, and then we can approximate when that would happen. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then just time for the upgrade, and
Yeah.
fingers crossed.
No fingers crossed, everything is gonna go smoothly because we have the best engineering team in Web3, so nothing can go wrong. But like in terms of complexity, was this harder than the previous upgrades? And will it facilitate like future changes to the network?
I mean, surely, yeah, the future upgrades will be easier. But yeah, this one, I mean, given that we've done a few before, I think it was actually, it went pretty smoothly. So that was nice to see. Like we've streamlined the tooling that's needed to prepare all the artifacts for the upgrade. And so besides the minor hiccups, yeah, we don't expect anything, any big hurdles to happen during the upgrade. So, yeah. And obviously, in the future, we'll make sure that future upgrades will be even smoother. That's always the goal.
Exactly, of course. Well, this kind of concludes my questions regarding the network upgrade. But I do have one question from our audience, and it's by no means a hard question. Somebody wanted to know what your hobbies are outside of the regular work at Oasis.
Well, in the past, I guess my hobbies also included programming, but then I like to tinker with I don't know, like home automation. But since I've got kids, I think my hobbies are my kids. Like most of my free time is spent taking care of the kids and enjoying time with the kids. I would imagine that for today it's similar, but maybe I'm
Yeah. So like basically, I think I'm trying to think. So like, if the day would have more than 24 hours, I think I would do like more stuff because like I don't know, like I like playing sports, like in particular like team sports, so like volleyball, basketball, football as well. Um, Currently, I managed to do like volleyball once per week, so I'm very grateful for that and for my wife who enables that. And then in terms of like even though I was taught to play piano in music school, I'm much more fond of guitar. So like if I have time, I play guitar. I'll play like some pop music, just the chords. So like I would look up the guitar tabs and just like play the chords. Um, and if I would have time, I would just build more, I don't know, Legos. And recently, like the complex ones, the complex sets, they have the adult sets now. But recently, like I'm in the process of like constructing a house. So like as a hobby, I'm learning, how to actually like do some things on the house or like how it works. So yeah, I'm just like hoping my day will have more than 24 hours.
Don't we all? I don't know how days have all of a sudden gotten shorter, but it's crazy. Thank you so much. I'm sure the audience loved it. And I think that kind of concludes our session for today. We're over the 1 hour mark. Whoa, that's amazing. Thank you both for joining. As I said, like I admire you both so much, and it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you to our audience who hasn't lost their patience for this hour. I'm sure it was an exciting session. As always, make sure you follow our socials, our Twitter, our Discord, our Telegram, Reddit, and of course the forum. We're regularly posting updates. So, yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you, Jernej. Thank you today. Have a great rest of the day. And yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Minia. Thank you for hosting.
Yeah, thank you, Mina, for having us.
Bye, everyone.